Hello and welcome to another Business Insider Secrets podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. Today, I'm excited to bring in another great guest. His name's Damien. Now, Damien is an M&A business scale-up specialist, specifically in the sports sector. And having sort of spoken to him for a while and got to know him, one of the things he's really keen on is retention. So I've got him to come on today to talk to you specifically about retention. Damien, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. What,
Thank you for having me.
what's this retention thing? What do you mean by retention?
So it's massively overlooked in most businesses, but especially looking at sports and fitness industry, most people don't think retention is any important thing to do. Most people think about members acquisition and looking to get the next customer, so they invest their own into the marketing, but they forget to keep their customers, so they end up in a vicious cycle of always renewing their customers. So they spend way too much in marketing, and then they lose some community building that they have as an opportunity in any businesses.
Okay, I like that. So what you're sort of saying there, I guess, is that people come in and they then just like fall out the funnel somewhere. They just fall out the leaky bucket syndrome.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly
nice.
that.
All right. So why do you think why is this really important? Why should businesses really sort of be talking about it? And hence why should we be talking about it, I guess?
So, putting it in simple terms, most of my customers tend to spend about like £2,000 a month to their marketing. So they spend into their paid ads, into their SEO, and they tend to have like a budget of £2,000. Now, let's imagine they just cut that budget completely, and instead they reinvest to their own community. They invest in putting some events every month, like to get the members together. They get them engaged, and they feel like they're part of a bigger family. Essentially, they're gonna be part of something bigger. Then suddenly, when you leave the gym, you don't try to going to replace that service for somebody else that got something identical. Suddenly you're part of a family, a system in place that is unique to that one gym or club. So it's going to be much more difficult for those members to leave because they have something else they're attached to. So when you completely omit the retention side of things, you're just a commodity. People can replace you from the person down the road is going to be cheaper, or they'll like provide the same exact service. So when we go and to look at building retention, you increase the lifetime value of that one customer, meaning that you decrease your overhead expenses and you can build something much stronger. So your branding, your value, everything is going to be stronger overall because everybody lives with the bigger culture that they are a part of. Now, let's imagine somebody that doesn't have any retention and just think about acquiring the next member. They're going to have a completely new cycle of members every 6 months. Everybody will be replaced.
Yeah.
So you're always chasing to make a new sale. And it's very exhausting, it's very expensive. And sometimes you can get into some strategies that are not sustainable either for the long run. So it's exactly what retention is about, really.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I see this a lot of time with the business owners I look at and speak to. You can see
Mm.
when we're looking to acquire businesses, we're looking into what they're doing, how they're doing it. And now I know you're talking from a sports perspective, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is any business, guys. If people are listening to this, that whole retention thing is how are you keeping and looking after your customers to enable them to not leave? Like for me, it's more important than the sales. It's the customer experience along that journey, right?
Totally, yeah.
So why should if someone's not doing this now, like why should they stand up, listen more to this podcast because we're going to get into the nuts and bolts shortly. But why should people really think that now is the right time to do it if they haven't started already?
They're missing on a lot of um, profit, but also time investment they could get back.
Mm,
If you look at customer acquisition, especially in B2C, is going to be very time consuming. You got to make some emails, some text, perhaps some phone calls, or create like some onboarding events. And you can easily spend 10 to 20 hours a week just getting those people from a warm lead to be converting to a new customer.
mm.
Plus, you got to spend all of your ads that you're spending every month into marketing. Now, let's say you don't need to make any sale at all. Every single member you have are going to stay for the long run, at least 2 years plus, then all that time can be invested into you producing a better value for your own services or product. You can now like start to build some events for your customers, like perhaps some webinars or like some cross sell opportunities for your customer, like improving what you deliver. But if you don't take on the opportunity to retain your customers, then you're just chasing the next sale all again. So you just spend that time, which could be invested somewhere else. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Okay.
Just missing opportunities.
Yeah, nice. All right. So let's talk about some of the some examples you see. So maybe give me an example that you see from some of your clients that when you first start working with them. What's the sort of the number one mistake they sort of fall in? Like, where are they like right now?
Oh, absolutely. So, as an example, so probably the worst case scenario we can imagine. So, it was a business in London. They had a terrible reviews on Google, like 3 out of 5 star, which for a gym is usually a death sentence. If you've got anything below 4 star, you're not doing great. So they had like 3 out of 5, and most of their customers, like they're just giving bad reviews, used to say, "Oh, the service quality is terrible," and also there's a fee to cancel the membership.
Yep.
And I went to talk to the owner and I said, like, how come you're charging them 3 months worth of membership when they want to exit? Which is outrageous. Like, if you want to leave a place because you're not happy about the service, the last thing you want is to pay 3 months up front just to leave. So it was saying that basically the members were leaving too soon. So it was trying to retain them just by paying that fee. So just basically pushing them away from cancelling their fees if they had to pay another 3 months.
Yep.
But they never thought about just investing their marketing budget into actually producing better value, perhaps hiring better coaches or just hiring a community or social media employee that could take care of all the behind the scenes. And so when I was thinking to build up the foundations again with him, firstly we got rid of that exit fee, and we reinvested every marketing pennies they invested before into their current customer base. So we haven't acquired a single person over the course of the month, and instead we try to retain at least 80% of the customers there and increase the membership after 1 month. So we increased the value of the membership that they're currently paying by adding some webinars for free. So perhaps for mental health, for nutrition, for the injury and rehabilitation, and with a weekly event like this, which is completely free, the members were more engaged with the community. So they are booking to the classes more often. They are actually like staying at the gym for longer, and they are also buying some like their food supplements, like their food available at the gym more often. So actually, the revenue of the gym stayed the same, despite the fact they've lost 20% of the course of the 1 month.
Mm.
And after this, we increased the membership by an extra 10% too.
Why do you think that you know, people don't focus on this sort of stuff? What's the because it's all very well oh well want to retain our customers. Everyone says that.
Yeah.
But everyone's, a lot of people are focused on the sales, on the marketing. But why do you think that people don't actually get to this? Like, what's the number one reason they don't do something about it? Do you think, or don't, you know?
It's not attractive. It's like the blue pill or red pill option again. You can either get some paid ads and get an agency to do it all for you, and you can get new customers and therefore remain with the same number of customers every month, or you could put some effort in and actually think about providing value. And people don't necessarily think about it as well. Um,
So,
Out of the 200 members, business owners I've talked to, not a single one of them talked about the retention. They all thought about their cost of acquisition and their lifetime value, but never the retention.
yeah,
So
it's interesting, isn't it? That. So, do you think that a lot of people just think it's too hard work? Is that what you're getting to?
I think so. It's hard work in the sense that you've got to think outside the box, and perhaps somebody like as an advisor to advise you on how to retain your community, perhaps it's not always what they think about. Is not the most appealing project to retain your members.
Yep.
Yet it can transform the way you see your own business. Like my customers I tend to work with, they tend to feel more motivated to work for themselves
Yep.
after 2 to 3 months of working with providing more value because they feel more passionate about what they deliver again.
Yep.
Which it's almost like a new business after a few months because they are more engaged. They don't need to chase the new sale, and they're more fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yet they don't really think about it when you don't show them the bigger picture.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Who have you seen that does this really well?
Surprisingly, not somebody in the sporting industry, but the bigger corporation do that really well. Actually, Lululemon does that amazingly well. So it's like a more active wear, I guess somewhat sport related since I'm more in the yoga space, but they engage with the community by providing free yoga content and classes. So you can go to some of their shops, go for a free yoga class.
Mm.
They're going to engage with their customers. They're going to fall in love with the brand, and then they try to sell them some of their merch, some of their clothing. They do that incredibly well. Like some
Mm.
people that buy Lululemon, they would most likely come back and get more of their product because
Mm.
the quality is there, but also you get free value.
Yeah.
So they have recurring customers all the time. And
So,
you can see that with bigger businesses as well. I'm sure there's plenty of options out there, but Lululemon does that great.
so, are you linking community, value, content, and retention all in sort of a pot together in some ways?
It's all linked together. If you have the right branding and people fall in love with what you deliver, and equally if you provide a better service and more value than what people expect, they will come back. And then if you build it into some community events where people are going to be engaged and have some input into your business, they're going to come back.
Yep.
On the other end, if you think about the opposite of somebody that just what you sell right away, and then you get less than what they advertised,
Yep.
you feel a bit bittersweet about the situation, and now you've been in for a few months, and then you see an advertisement for somebody else, a competitor, that provides more value for the same price. You're more likely going to see them.
Yep.
So he's having that drastic difference between the two.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Nice. Running a business that's turning over between 1 and 3 million can feel like a solitary journey. But what if you could tap into a supportive community dedicated to helping you overcome obstacles and consistently scale? Our free STEMS community is just that, a space where business leaders like you come together for practical advice, support, and invaluable insights. It's positive, friendly, and designed exclusively to help you confidently navigate your next growth milestone. Join us today, completely free, and let's scale together. So, Damien, who are you? What,
All
and what,
right.
yeah, and before I answer that, because that's a little bit ambiguous, I appreciate that. So, you, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in France, lost in the French Alps. Basically, was born on skis, and I moved in the UK when I was 18 in the rain.
I was literally about to say that. So interesting. So presumably you don't ski much here in the UK.
I tried to. It doesn't work really well.
No, it's not. It's not particularly good, is it? So are
Yeah.
you? So do you disappear quite a lot to go skiing? Is it still in your blood, or
I try to, but it's time more than anything else. Obviously, I'm lucky that my parents are still living there in the French Alps, so I can go back whenever I want and go skiing. So I go back there every Christmas. Try to go at least for like 2 or 3 skiing trips. But obviously, like time is a thing, so I can't. If I could, I would go there for the whole season and come back in the spring in the UK.
yeah,
But who's got that flexibility, right?
yeah. Well, yeah. That's the whole beauty of M&A. So
Exactly.
okay, nice. So what brought you to the UK when you were 18?
It's a long story, but essentially I was just learning English. I was meant to be here for a year, as I was trained to be a pilot in the Air Force in France, and you have to be fluent in English. So long story short, I hated the UK for my first year. It was raining all the time. I was like, oh god, it's worse than the stereotype. And my English was still not the best. And then spring came around. It's like, well, that's actually not that bad. I was living in Brighton, perfect seafront, so it's not that far away from where you live.
Yeah,
Like beautiful, beautiful part of the country. And then I was like, well, I'm going to stay on for a few more years, went to do engineering. then did my test, and then I ended up not going in the army. So I was left with an engineering background and a sportsing background, which I picked as like the second option. So I was meant to be here for a year, and then 12 years later, I'm still here in the UK.
Did you find an English woman?
Uh, interesting. Yeah, I found my partner in the UK, but she's not from the UK. She's been
Ah,
here. She moved at the same time as me, surprisingly enough. But she was born in Israel, went to live in the US for most of her life, and then she moved in the UK in 2013, which is the same time as me. So
okay, I love that. I love that. But you ended up here and building a life here. Brilliant. So
yeah.
you've got this engineering background and you love sport.
Mhm.
So what did you do for for work to start off with?
So when I was studying engineering, I started to coach part time just to put some food on the table. So I was coaching maybe like 20 hours a week, 20 hours a week, and I was going to uni. And I quickly realized that I hate being behind a computer, like looking at 3D designs and doing um, any sort of like thermodynamics or aerodynamics like on a computer. So I fell in love with the coaching side of things. I felt like helping people is really what I wanted to do. I
Mm,
had some people giving me a hug just purely because I fixed their bike pain in just a few weeks, but they're
mm.
trying to fix it for 20 years, and that really meant a lot to me. So I progressed to the coaching side of things. I just fell in love with the industry
When
pretty
you
much
say
like right.
coaching, what sport are you coaching?
So I started coaching CrossFit classes, so just fitness classes at my local gym, and I moved on to do sport coaching, like for a volleyball team, and then I went to be a more sports scientist and strength and conditioning coach as I went on with my career. So I started with more the global population and moved on to more specialized customers. So elite athletes, people that are going to the Commonwealth or like go to international competitions, and equally with some people that have disabilities or they just come back from the army and they've got an amputated leg, or they have some very unique cases that most PTs or most coaches would not be able to deal with. So
Mm,
I've really dived in to the coaching side of things early on.
yeah. Okay. And that the coaching thing, did I see that you're a weightlifter? Is that
That's right, yeah. So I um I was competing in weightlifting at national level, and after my degree life got in the way, so I had to leave my weightlifting career behind me and just move on to the business side of things. But yeah, I've been a weightlifter for quite a few years. I'm still lifting like every week,
yeah.
not quite to the same level though.
And you talked about CrossFit there as well. I think you said you're a CrossFit coach. So
Yeah.
the strength and conditioning piece. I mean, it's sort of needed with CrossFit, isn't it? Because you sort of break yourself every 2 minutes. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean that's what CrossFit is about, right? You sign up to get injured and then get fixed somehow.
Yeah.
So I still do some coaching on the side, like a few hours here and there, just purely because I love that contact with people. And I've quickly became the injury and rehabilitation person purely of my strength and conditioning background. So people come to me right away whenever they have some sort of injuries, which is, as you say, more common than not in CrossFit.
Well, it's definitely common in CrossFit. We have a group. Yeah, I go to the gym on a pretty much daily basis. There's a group of us in a couple of
Yeah.
WhatsApps, and there's a bit of a laughing joke that wherever you find a CrossFit, you'll find someone that can deal with back pain, should we say?
Yeah.
Um, they literally go hand in hand because CrossFit is, as far as I'm concerned, a frigging dangerous sport. Um, because you've only got to do the movement slightly wrong, and you're going to end up with a bad back for the rest of your life. Now, I'm not. But bear in mind, just for I should say that other sports are available, and that you can't. There's no guarantee that you'll damage yourself CrossFit in case anyone ever tries to sue me for this. But there we go. Stranger things have happened. So you're doing this strength and coaching. But yeah, we already know you're into M&A. So how did the M&A and the sport thing come together?
So I had two options after my master's degree. So I either wanted to build my own like gym and studio and like try to build a community locally. And at the same time I fell in love with investing. So from any kind of investing at the time. And my father-in-law was he is into M&A, and I was talking to him about my business plan, and he looked at me and was like, well, that's a terrible idea. You should never do that. You're just gonna be struggling for 10 years and not make a living until you have a decent customer base. I was like, well, my plans kind of went out the window now. So I obviously like I talked to him a bit more like about investing and how I could combine the two together. And he's starting to talk to me about how I could well, he's creating opportunities through M&A. And for the past, well, 3 years now, I've been diving in more into the business side of things. I've dove in my own business, my own business, not only the business, but I was diving in the business in Bath. And I've developed my business skill quite significantly. And equally is where I've discovered how customer retention can transform a business. And after that point, I could dive in, take the deep dive into M&A and making a difference in the world of sports and fitness. And for the past couple of years, it's exactly what I do. I create opportunities for business owners that had the same dream as me. When I finished my degree, they just wanted to make a living and of changing lives. And I'm here to help them to get to that point where they actually can make a living and be fulfilled with their own projects.
Amazing. So, who are the sort of typical clients you work with?
100% of the time, ex-coaches that were sick of being charged 50% fees for doing some one-to-one customers, or they're paying minimum wages to coach some classes, and they just want to make their own success. So they're saying that to get their own gym, so
Yeah.
they took a loan to get their first like few months of lease in the gym. They got a loan for their equipment and also for their marketing to launch the business, and then after a couple of years, they basically end up in the evil cycle of trying to get more customers and chasing the bills. And they end up either closing their business down after 2 to 3 years, or they end up having a successful business or somewhere in the middle. So,
What sort of size do you normally? Do you think that is there a pattern of the ones that don't succeed versus the ones that do? You know, they are the ones that don't succeed, the ones that end up that sort of by themselves still 3 years later, and the ones that do succeed that have got people at 3 years. Or is there a? And I'm saying that as a stereotype. I'm not saying that's the case, but do you see patterns like that?
yeah. So for this profile from ex-coaches that build their own businesses for the first time, they have no experience with businesses. All of the ones that have succeeded had at some point a advisor or coach or somebody to tell them what to do next. Because what looks great on paper and what works great in their head does not always work in the real world. So it's very hard for them to actually grow further. And they end up doing everything in the business. Everything from the financials, the marketing, their customer acquisition, anything that is with the business management, they do it all themselves. But
Mm,
all the ones that succeed have a team behind them, whether or not they're employed by the business or they're a consultant or some people that are freelance. All
yeah.
of the ones that succeed have some sort of team behind them.
Mm. Okay, amazing. Okay, so let's get back to the retention and break it down for people. So,
Mm.
if people want to really focus on their retention and sort of think, okay, how do I need to solve this? What are the things I need to be looking at? Right. Before we got on the call, we talked about like a broad process. What's the for people listening? What's the first thing that people need to think about when they are thinking about retention?
So, first, I would say data is king. Is to look at data is to track the lifetime cycle of your customer. And typically, you know you have a retention problem if half your new customers are leaving within 2 weeks. If you're losing 50% of your new customers within 2 weeks or perhaps a month, you've got a retention problem. And same thing happens at the 6 month mark. If you've got some waves of people leaving in the first month and at the 6 month mark, you have some problem. If your lifetime cycle is 2 years and both, you're not doing too bad.
Okay.
Ideally, is where we want to be. We want to be at 2 years plus. And if you have some, like most of your customers that leave after 2 weeks, is something to be done there. And usually, the first impression it works in businesses and in personal interactions. You want to create the best first impression you have, and that first impression in businesses is your first month. You need to provide as much as you can.
So you talked about there, you leaving 2 weeks. Well, most gyms are either a contract for a year or a monthly sign up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you know if they've left in 2 weeks?
you look at the booking system, you look at their attendance to the classes, or when they like go through the door and they tag their badge, you know if they are starting to decline, and you can see it doesn't mean that they're not paying their membership anymore, but if they don't turn up, it's a ghost, and therefore they're the one that virtually saturate your gym but don't contribute to the community. And therefore, as much as it can contribute to the financials of your business, they affect your business negatively in terms of reputation and value.
100%. We call them silent leavers. So
Yeah.
they're ones that who have paid their service, but
Mhm.
actually they go quiet and they ghost you, and you never hear from them again. And they're
Yeah.
what we call silent leavers. And those silent leavers are the ones that actually kill the business.
Yeah.
So, okay, all right. So, first thing is we need to get our data in order and understand what the numbers are actually telling us. And
Mhm.
can I just add a piece in here, because I think I have a lot of conversations with people around data and integrity of data and
Mhm.
trust and confidence in data, because either business we're looking to acquire or businesses we've acquired, once we've acquired them, we're implementing our stems framework, so to get them to grow. And one of the things that comes up again and again and again is that someone says the number is 10 when you're talking to them, but actually it turns out to be 8 or 6, because they're not actually recording the number. Number one, they're just guessing, or they are um, taking the data from different places, and there's some double counting. Not None of it's on purpose, by the way, I should say. But so when you're looking at the data, and for Damien here is we've got to trust the data. We've got to be able to back up where the data's coming from in order to make that
Mhm.
work. Sorry, Damien. I was in you sort of interjected to your flow there. So right, so data is the first thing. Second thing we need to focus on.
Yeah. 100%. Data is king. So usually, data for customer lifecycle and customer retention rate is super easy to get. You have your booking system or your scheduling system, and it's going to show every single member. And typically, they're not the best at being automated, like to your CRM system. So you need something like Zapier to be able to link the two together to like close the gap.
Okay.
But typically, your data has to be reported either weekly or monthly. If you don't track your members' retention weekly or monthly, you're just going there blind, and you need to be able to see exactly what's happening with your business.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, like knowing the trustworthiness of your data is king. You need
No.
to know if your data is accurate. And typically, when I ask the business owners like how long are the members staying, they give me what they think it is,
Yep.
but not their true data. And typically I say, cool, let's have a look. And then when we look at, we dive deep into their software, and it's usually lower than what they think.
Every time.
Statistically, every time.
Every time it's lower than they think. Every time.
Every time.
I don't think
Because
I've ever had an experience where it's higher.
yeah, no. I mean, that's great. It'd be great if it would be higher. But typically, when people think about their lifetime cycle of their customers, they think about the ones that have been there for a long time, the
Yep.
one that have been there since day one. And they think about, oh, yeah, like those members love it. They've been here for 5 years. It's like, that's great and all, but they don't represent the average.
Yep.
Because all the ones that are leaving in the first month, like, take that down massively.
Yep.
So, yeah, 100% of the time, it's lower than what they think.
Okay. So next step. What's the next thing they need to focus on?
It would be, what does it take to have their first month through? So once you get the first step, when they've signed up for another month after this, you got to think about what is it you can do afterwards, after this part of the customer lifespan. So let's say for the month you pay a lot of value. So now how we can keep up the momentum. And typically it doesn't have to be as involved with the person. You don't need necessarily to do a one-to-one meeting. You don't need to get them on the phone. You don't need to do as much. Therefore, you want them to be included in the community. So you want them to be introduced slowly. So usually I always say don't get more than 5 new customers a week, purely because having more than that as a wave can like get the rest of the community a bit confused about like who's coming into the community, and they can't feel as welcome as well. So you want to,
Damien, sorry, are you
yeah,
talking about here about you onboarding them in the right way first?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
100%, yeah. So
all right.
you onboard them. So once you get that first month, you get them to sign up. Let's say you've got 5 people coming in the week. You get one to provide more value than what you advertised. So it's not an offer. It's not something that's part of the bundle they purchase. So you want to give them, I don't know, some free merch, some food supplements, nutritional plan that you can provide for free. You can get them an injury and rehab session. You perhaps collaborate with some physios and can get them to do a one session physio with them. And then once they get all that value in the first month,
Mm,
then you can carry on to the rest. So either you can give them like a free upgrade to the limited plan to unlimited after the month number 3 as a reward, and then you can provide some webinars to do monthly. So all your members are kind of coming together. You can organize like a barbecue or get a food truck outside the gym, get them all together. They just enjoy having that social aspect, and it can build relationship with somebody else as well. Once you have great relationships within the community without you being involved, you're doing the right things. You want that to be physical but also online. So you're going to need a WhatsApp group, a Facebook group, a school app, anything for them to interact together. And as an example, the customer I'm working with, they have their own marketplace of people that want to sell their own gym equipment. For people that want to, perhaps they try the food supplement, they don't like, they're going to give it to another member. Basically, they help each other. Equally, you've got some narrow group that branch out from the main chat. People that do dog sitting, people that do some house cleaning, for example. They can basically get involved in the community and they can help each other. And you don't have an input yourself. The community is doing the work for you.
mm,
So the more you give to the community, the more they will take care of themselves as well.
yeah.
So it's a continuum. But typically, you want to be the less involved, the longer the stay, while still providing some value.
Ready to confidently scale your business even further? Join our weekly virtual STEMS event, designed specifically for business owners with revenues between 1 and 3 million. Each week, we break down key elements of our proven STEMS philosophy, providing actionable training, supportive insights, and expert guidance you can immediately apply. It's a welcoming environment entirely focused on empowering you to grow sustainably and successfully. Reserve your spot at our next event. It's your opportunity to unlock your next level of business success. Link below. All right, so we've got sort of onboarding first month and community there. I think
Mhm.
how do you talked about your WhatsApp, school groups. For school groups, it's not SCH. For most people, it's SKOOL. Um,
Yeah,
have you got a school app for what you do, Damien?
I do, and I have a love and hate relationship with it. I think it's a great app, but I think it gets. I think the average population doesn't use it.
Yeah,
And I think if you want to include school app, you need to include some education that comes with it.
yeah,
But everybody knows WhatsApp, everybody knows Facebook, and usually you want to be as frictionless as you can with your community. If I've got the average Joe, they've got their 9 to 5 job in a corporation, and then they come to your gym afterwards, and you've got to tell them about like that amazing community you built online, and it can be part of that bigger group. And say, okay, we're still on school, but they don't have the app. You now then need to show them how it works, where to download it, and you have a lot more friction with the onboarding process.
it, I think yeah, I think you're totally right. That non-friction. So
Mm,
yeah, we've got a school community for a couple of our businesses,
mhm.
and it's just like trying to shove shit up a hill. Um, because I think the point that you've raised there is the exact point is that the reality is if it's on WhatsApp, it's easy. If it's in another group that you don't look at, you're not going to go there because you don't go there for anything else. Like,
Yeah,
and I think that's the point. It needs to be as frictionless as possible. And we've talked about how do we transfer it to WhatsApp or similar, you know. And to be fair, WhatsApp's free as well. Like, you know, the all the others, they just cost money. Um, you know,
100%.
the school app's great because it's got calendars and it's got levels of education and all this sort of stuff.
Mm.
So it works really well where you've got some content to put in that you can take people through it, but you've still got to get people there.
Mhm. Yeah. And I've got something that can compensate for the lack of automation and the lack of scheduling on WhatsApp is some things paired up with Zapier, where you can pair up to your CRM system. So if you have your plan yearly of all your community events, all of your marketing strategy, let's say you want to run a quarter yearly a cross-selling option where they can buy the new merch, or perhaps like the new let's say you want to create a retreat in the summer for your community. You're gonna be spending a week in Spain, and we're gonna be enjoying some fun time together, like work out, gonna be eating healthy. Anything that you have planned for your community, you can plan it into your CRM system and then link it to Zapier and then to your WhatsApp. And therefore, you can drip feed some content to them. It can be based like a newsletter option where you're going to be having like a weekly text sent to your community. And it can work great that way. And obviously, once you've got your CRM system included, you've got everything available from your scheduling to your marketing, any offers available, it's all there.
Okay, so if we've got our onboarding right, sorry, now let me rephrase that. We've started off with the data, we've understood the numbers.
Yeah.
We're then onboarding people in the right way. We're getting people
Mhm.
through the door at the right rate that enables them to, get to our community, be onboarded. And in that first month, we're getting them involved in the gym. We're getting them to do some classes, getting them booked on, giving them some free merch or some nutrition injury stuff, right? We're then getting them
Mhm.
involved in the community, and we're getting them
Yeah.
involved in our WhatsApp group, some badges, maybe some well done, some high fives, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so, so if you was to do all that, what would be missing?
It'd be difficult to say really what would be missing at the end of it. It depends on like the strategy for one gym, and one option can be great for one gym but not another. It's mainly down to location as well. If you're central London, where you can do next to a community can be very much going like to, let's say, play bowling or going to a restaurant for Christmas. But if you're more in the countryside, you can leverage that as well. You can go for like a hike. You can go for any outdoors activities as well. So what's missing afterwards, it's what twist you want to add to your own brand and what actually goes well with your values. If you really value the fun aspect, then going to the restaurant is not necessarily fun for everybody, but perhaps going to a laser tag can be fun for most people. Equally, if you value nutrition, you can go to a cooking class, and therefore it goes well with the alignment of your nutritional side of things. So it will very much depends on one person to the other.
I love that idea of, and I've never seen that, to be fair, but that whole gym where, I love building the community. Guys, you're struggling to cook healthy stuff. Let's get a chef in to show you how to cook some healthy stuff. I mean, that
Yeah.
would be epic, wouldn't it?
I know. And it's something that I actually stole from one of my friends back in Brighton. So the gym owner was an ex-chef. He used to be like one of the best chefs locally, and he went to create his own gym. And he used to create a barbecue event, and then nobody knew really that it was about cooking. But he created like a seminar first, and he told them how to cook, how to like plan their meals. He said, "Well, let's go have a barbecue outside now. I'll show you exactly what it takes to meal prep, how long it takes to do that for 50 people, and then you can do the same thing at home. You can do that for a fraction of the time." So they learn how to cook properly with healthy food, and that tastes great. It doesn't have to be just porridge and eggs.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Amazing. So we on board, we do the first month, we build a community, we have a strategy that's aligned to our values to take it to the next level. Anything else?
I mean, later on, you'll be down to what does it take to get your members to be actually involved in the business decision making. So, one thing that I've learned through coaching, like especially with the youth population, is that autonomy and having a say is hugely important in how engaged you are with your coaching, with your coach. And the same thing applies to your business. If you have if you go to your gym and they want to expand, would you like to have a say whether or not the gym should get a sauna or a swimming pool, for example? If you have a preference between the two, it'd be great for you to have some input. So with your loyal customers that have stayed for a year plus, you can get them in to a Q&A session
Yeah.
and ask exactly what they'd be looking for, what really would bring their experience to the next level, and get them to input into your business. And
Yeah.
equally, like Q&A sessions work great for customer acquisition. Like you can get the much better conversion rate with the Q&A session, and equally, you can increase your retention rate by 15% if you have a Q&A session for your existing customers. So for them to have some input works wonders. So I
Yeah.
think that'll be the last link to really complete your retention like cycle.
Yeah.
So I think having the members to have a say is very
So,
powerful.
so the because for me the numbers sort of complete the circle. In my mind, I've got a circle in my head. You've got data in the first place, then you've got
Yeah.
onboarding first 30 days, um, then you've got community strategy, automation. Let's come back to the automation AIP, and then it comes back to the data to understand the numbers to see what you change. So with the automation AI piece, how are you using AI at the moment? What are the sort of things you're using to make things smoother, better, faster?
So I make it as simple as I can. Zapier, I use it, abuse it. It's something great that bridges the gap purely because you don't have much integration for the highly specialized softwares and application. Like some of the softwares that are mostly used, for example, would be like Woodboard or TeamUp in the booking systems for gyms, but they don't have um, anything to link it to their CRM directly.
Yeah,
But Zapier can do that. You can link your booking system to your CRM. You can connect your community group to your CRM system. So Zapier is a great thing to use. And once you've got that created, you can automate your acquisition system. So anybody that contacts you, instead of like spending some time on the phone or sending them some email, you can automate some of the responses until they hit a stopping point. So having some people, if they are more interested to join the gym because they want to get healthier or because they want to get better with their injuries, then you can really target of what they need and therefore offer them something more bespoke. Equally, for
are
your
you
existing,
sorry, Damien? Are you talking there when you talked about acquisition system? You're talking about customer acquisition first off,
that's
presume.
right, yeah, not business acquisition, yeah.
Yeah, fine. And
Although it could be the same thing for
good.
businesses, but
Yeah, good.
uh,
100%. But you were talking about automating responses, so you're talking AI agents almost to a degree there.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
It's
Just,
got to be
um,
done with
just
the right touch. You
yeah,
can't just throw like a computer talking at somebody else because it'd just be
yeah,
obvious and you're gonna lose the connection. So
yeah,
it's got to be somewhat personalized and something I do with all the customers that I work with that want to join an automated system. I get them to be on a phone call, a video call with the customer like 2 to 3 times to get that transcript.
yeah,
And then once you have the transcript, you have that uh, tone of voice, you have the vocabulary they use, and then therefore you can use that transcript to then feed in to the automated chat
yeah,
later on. So it sounds more like them.
yeah. Okay.
Um,
Just for I guess for people listening that don't know what an AI agent is,
mhm.
just explain that in your words.
It's somebody, it's like a personal assistant that works 24/7 and is overly qualified. Basically, they can know everything about you, your business, and they represent you best. And they are always the same. They don't have a day where they'll be moody. They don't have a day where they're gonna be tired. They always turn up with overly caffeinated um, assistant you have. So they're gonna be doing all the legwork for you instead of you spending some time doing all of your emails or getting some paying somebody to do all of your emails for you. You can somewhat automate it, and then your agent is gonna be able to tailor the discussion based on what you feed it. So the more you give to the agent, the better it will be. The
Yeah,
more power you give it.
yeah, nice. Okay, I think that's interesting because we've started using them and sort of getting a gauge of how to tweak and adapt
Mm.
and everything else. I think it's important to say though is that it needs a database to read off of. So For example, we've got a ticket desk, and inside our ticket desk, we've got probably millions of tickets, certainly hundreds of thousands of tickets. So the AI agent can essentially use all the answers to all of those previous tickets to respond based on what's happened in the past. If you're
Yeah.
starting from brand new, it's slightly harder. But
Hmm.
we're in a very fortunate position that I mean we can do that virtually overnight.
Yeah.
And I mean we've probably saved two heads this year alone because of it. Like, I mean, it's mental.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we probably won't lose anybody, but we probably won't hire anyone either. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's massive. Okay, all right. So we've completed this wonderful little loop. So we've got understand the data, then get them into onboarding. Once they're onboarding, to get them involved in everything you need them to get them involved in, we've got the first month. And we're really trying to make sure that first month is successful with some free upgrades or whatever it might be.
Mhm.
Getting them involved in the community to make sure that they're engaged and they're taking part. We have a strategy around engagement specifically, and it could be things like meal prep, going for a walk, but doing things outside to build community along the values of the business. Then we're
Absolutely.
automating and using AI wherever we can to assist and build the business out to keep engagement within the business. So
Yeah.
that could be things like hey, I haven't seen you in the gym today. Are you coming down? I mean, it might be you came last Tuesday. Why are you not here this Tuesday? And then we review all that with the data at the top again. Does that sound
Yeah.
fair?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And then it's at every stage you can implement it for the AI. You can do it from the customer acquisition to the onboarding process, and more importantly, to your community-based events that you're going to do yearly, quarter yearly, and monthly. So you can send a notification into your chat that sounds like you, or you perhaps typed it, and then therefore you can just schedule it for the right time. Um, but AI has to be done progressively. You can't just throw everything automated day one. It
Yeah.
takes a long time to do it well. And
So
I think that's also the problem with some people that go there in too quick.
with with this system, this process, right? Retaining customers is the number one thing.
Yeah.
And as you're talking, I'm sort of putting this into my world of B2B businesses. So
Hmm.
for people that are listening that have got a B2B business, I guess for me, there's a piece in here. We've talked about customer experience, we've talked about engagement, we've talked about community, we've talked about strategy.
Yeah.
But one thing we've not talked about, and for me, it's a pretty big key component that
Hmm.
is you need to do an excellent job for your clients, and
Oh, yeah.
you've
100%.
got to deliver a really high quality service in
Hmm.
order to make them come back. And
Hmm.
in a sports world, my background is sport, and I used to teach. I used to train the trainers well. In fact, I could if I wanted to. I'm still qualified sailing trainer, which means I can train the instructors to go and teach sailing. And
Sweet.
one of the things I used to say is, you've got to get them leaving with a smile. And for me, it's so relevant, just like business. If they don't leave with a smile, they won't come back. And the
Yeah.
customer is no different to someone in the gym.
Yeah.
And delivering an amazing product is what makes people return as well. So I think I'm going to add into our little circle of truth
Hmm.
quality of delivery,
Yeah.
as a little golden Andy nugget, whether that's a thing or not.
Yeah.
It is now anyway.
Hmm. I totally agree. And I mean, I still coach to this day, and the coach's behavior and the way they deliver the classes on a daily basis massively contribute to the delivery of the service they provide. It's not just down to the owner, like what they want to create. It's then also how on board that the coaches are. You also want them to be engaged with the community and actually be part of it.
Yes.
So, as an example, a few weeks ago, I had one of the ladies that was coming to train, and she was in tears by the end of the workout because she didn't do it as well as she thought. Well, that's fine. Just go out with her, go for a walk, like just reassure her, like it's you've got bad days, you've got good days. Give her a hug, and then she'll come back.
Yeah.
If everybody's got a bad day, but if they feel like they're being supported as well,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you mean everything to them on that moment. So.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. All right. Damien, if people want to reach out and either perhaps sell their sports business to you, perhaps want to learn more about retention, and or you get involved from a sports perspective with you and engage your services, what's the best way to do that?
LinkedIn is best. I'm really active on LinkedIn. Connect like 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. Equally, my website is currently updated, but it's still out there online. Damien, so Damien, Baudhuin, Baudhuin.com. And you're to contact me anytime, any day. And we can start discussing from there. I've got also a free questionnaire for your business as well for anybody that wants to feed in that data, see what they stand and what they need to work on. It's free, it's out there, and you get a free PDF of like some tips, tricks, anything that's tailored to you. So anybody can benefit from it, I believe.
Amazing. Damien, thank you very much for your time. This was another exciting Business Insider Secrets podcast, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And that's it for this week's episode. If you made it this far, I'd love it if you could spend just one moment to go and like and subscribe, because it really, really helps the channel and it gives us the ability to really bring in the best guests we possibly can. Big shout out to our sponsors, Expandly. Thank you very much for sponsoring this episode. It's an international management tool that enables all of your compliance, all of your logistics, and all of your online sales channels to be centrally managed all in one place. So it's easy for you to use, easy for you to expand, and gives you the ability to compete on a much larger scale with the global businesses. My name's Andy, and this was the Business Insider Secrets podcast.